The year was 1956, and something magical happened in Hollywood. A film so grand, so spectacular, that it would capture the hearts of millions for generations to come. The Ten Commandments became more than just a movie. It became a cultural landmark, a religious experience for many, and a testament to the golden age of cinema. But behind the breathtaking scenes of parting seas in ancient Egypt lived real people, talented actors who brought this biblical epic to life. Today, we're going to remember 14 of these incredible performers who are no longer with us. Their stories are filled with triumph, heartbreak, and the kind of drama that could rival any Hollywood script. So settle in, because we're about to take a journey through time to honor the souls who made movie history. Let's start with a man who stood at the center of it all, Charlton Heston. When you think of the Ten Commandments, you think of Moses, and when you think of Moses, you see Charlton Heston's face. With his strong jaw, commanding voice, and piercing eyes, Heston didn't just play Moses. He became Moses in the eyes of millions around the world. Born in 1923, Heston was a definition of a leading man in Hollywood's golden era. His performance in the Ten Commandments launched him into superstardom, and he would go on to star in other epic films like Ben-Hur, for which he won an Academy Award. But Heston was more than just a pretty face on screen. He was passionate about his craft, dedicated to his roles, and deeply involved in political causes throughout his life. As the years went by, Heston faced a battle that no amount of strength or willpower could win. In 2002, he revealed to the world that he had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. It was heartbreaking to watch this titan of cinema gradually fade away. On April 5, 2008, Charlton Heston passed away at his home in Beverly Hills at the age of 84. The world lost not just an actor, but a legend who had defined what it meant to be a hero on the silver screen. Now let's talk about the woman who stood opposite Heston as his wife in the film, Anne Baxter. She played Nefertiti, the Egyptian queen who loved Moses but couldn't have him, and brought a complexity to this role that made you feel every ounce of a character's pain and passion. Born into a well-connected family in 1923, and was practically destined for greatness. She had already won an Academy Award for The Razor's Edge before she even stepped onto the set of the Ten Commandments. Her portrayal of Nefertiti was seductive, powerful, and heartbreaking all at once, and continued to work steadily in film, television, and theater for decades after the movie. But tragedy struck suddenly and without warning. In December 1985, while walking down Madison Avenue in New York City, Anne suffered a massive brain aneurysm. She collapsed on the street and was rushed to the hospital, but there was nothing doctors could do. Just 8 days later, on December 12, 1985, Anne Baxter died at the age of 62. It was a shocking end for someone who had seemed so full of life and vitality. Her death reminded everyone that sometimes life can be cut short in the most unexpected ways. Yul Brynner is another name that will forever be linked to the Ten Commandments. As Ramses II, the stubborn and prideful pharaoh, Brynner delivered a performance that was both menacing and tragic. With his bold head, intense gaze, and powerful presence, he created a villain you couldn't help but be fascinated by. Born in Russia in 1920, Brynner had a life as dramatic as any character he played. He became a Broadway sensation in The King and I before transitioning to Hollywood. His role as Ramses cemented his status as one of the most distinctive actors of his generation. But Yul Brynner's personal life held a dark secret. He was a heavy smoker for most of his life, going through several packs a day. In 1983, he was diagnosed with lung cancer, and suddenly the invincible pharaoh was facing his own mortality. Brynner did something incredibly brave in his final days. He recorded a public service announcement warning people about the dangers of smoking, which aired after his death. On October 10, 1985, Yul Brynner passed away at the age of 65. His final message to the world was simple but powerful: don't smoke. It was a tragic ending for a man who had commanded the screen with such authority. Edward G. Robinson played Dathan, one of the most despicable characters in the entire film. He was a traitor, the complainer, the man who would sell out his own people for comfort and power. Robinson made you hate Dathan with every fiber of your being, which is a sign of a truly great actor. Born in Romania in 1893, Robinson came to America as a child and built an incredible career playing gangsters and tough guys in classic films like Little Caesar. By the time he appeared in The Ten Commandments, he was already a Hollywood legend. What many people don't know is that Robinson was an art collector with impeccable taste and a generous spirit. He donated much of his collection to museums and supported countless charitable causes. But Robinson's later years were marked by health problems. He had been battling cancer for some time, though he kept working as much as he could. Just weeks before his death, he was finally awarded an honorary Oscar, recognition that had eluded him throughout his career. On January 26, 1973, Edward G. Robinson died of bladder cancer at the age of 79. He left behind a legacy of unforgettable performances and a reputation as one of the finest actors of his generation. Vincent Price had a relatively small role in the Ten Commandments, playing Barker, the master builder who tormented the Hebrew slaves. But even in a smaller part, Price's distinctive voice and commanding presence made an impression. Born in 1911, Price would go on to become the king of horror films, starring in classics like House of Wax and The Fly. His voice alone could send shivers down your spine. Price was also a Renaissance man, interested in art, cooking, and culture. He wrote cookbooks, hosted art shows, and lived a rich, full life beyond the screen. But age and illness eventually caught up with him. In his later years, Price battled both emphysema and Parkinson's disease. Despite his failing health, he continued to work, lending his iconic voice to various projects, including the famous narration on Michael Jackson's Thriller. On October 25, 1993, Vincent Price passed away from lung cancer at his home in Los Angeles. He was 82 years old. His death marked the end of an era in horror cinema, and fans around the world mourn the loss of a true original. Cedric Hardwicke played Pharaoh Sethi, Ramses' father, and the man who raised Moses as his own grandson. Hardwicke brought a warmth and complexity to the role, making you believe in the genuine affection this powerful ruler had for Moses. Born in England in 1893, Hardwicke was a distinguished stage actor before making the transition to Hollywood. He was knighted by King George V in 1934, becoming Sir Cedric Hardwicke. Throughout his career, he appeared in countless films and was known for his professionalism and skill. Hardwicke continued working well into his 70s, never quite ready to retire from the craft he loved. But time was running out. On August 6, 1964, Sir Cedric Hardwicke died of lung cancer at the age of 71. His passing was mourned on both sides of the Atlantic, as both England and Hollywood had lost one of their finest talents. Nina Fock played Bithiah, the Egyptian princess who found baby Moses in the river and raised him as her own. It was a touching performance that showed the courage it took to defy her father and save a Hebrew child. Born in the Netherlands in 1924, Fock came to America as a child and built a solid career in Hollywood. She was beautiful, talented, and intelligent, working steadily in films and television for decades. Later in life, Fock became a respected acting teacher, passing on her knowledge to a new generation of performers at USC and the American Film Institute. She taught until her health no longer allowed it. Nina Fock died on December 5, 2008, from complications of myelodysplasia, a blood disorder. She was 84 years old. Her students and colleagues remembered her not just as an actress, but as a mentor who had changed their lives. John Derek played Joshua, Moses' loyal companion and eventual successor. With his striking good looks and earnest performance, Derek brought youthful energy to the role. Born in 1926, Derek seemed destined for major stardom, but his personal life often overshadowed his professional accomplishments. He became famous marrying a series of beautiful actresses, including Ursula Andress, Linda Evans, and Bo Derek. Later in his career, he moved behind the camera, directing films that often starred his wives. Derek's health began to decline in his 60s, and he was eventually diagnosed with cardiovascular disease. On May 22, 1998, John Derek died of heart failure at the age of 71. His death was a quiet end for someone whose life had been lived so publicly. Judith Anderson played Memnet, the servant who knew the secret of Moses' true identity. It was a small but crucial role, and Anderson brought intensity and drama to every scene she was in. Born in Australia in 1897, Anderson was a formidable stage actress who had conquered Broadway before Hollywood came calling. She was nominated for an Academy Award for her chilling performance in Rebecca and was made a Dame Commander of the Order of the British Empire in 1960. Anderson continued working into her 90s, showing a dedication to her craft that was truly remarkable. She died on January 3, 1992, at the age of 94. Her death was peaceful, coming after a long and celebrated career that spanned 7 decades. John Carradine played Aaron, Moses' brother and spokesperson. Carradine came from a legendary acting family and had a career that included hundreds of films. Born in 1906, he worked constantly, sometimes appearing in multiple films per year. He was tall, gaunt, and had a distinctive voice that made him perfect for character roles. Carradine's personal life was complicated, marked by multiple marriages and ongoing struggles with alcoholism. Despite these challenges, he kept working until the very end. John Carradine died on November 27, 1988, at the age of 82. His death came while he was in Milan, Italy, still working on a film. He literally worked until his final days, a testament to his love for acting. Yvonne De Carlo played Sephora, Moses' wife. With her beauty and warmth, De Carlo made you believe in the love story at the heart of the epic. Born in Canada in 1922, De Carlo had become famous for playing exotic beauties in adventure films. After the 10 Commandments, she would find even greater fame playing Lily Munster in the television series The Munsters. But De Carlo's later years were marked by tragedy. Her husband suffered a massive stroke that left him incapacitated, and she cared for him while continuing to work to support her family. Financial problems plagued her later years. In 2007, Yvonne De Carlo died of heart failure at the age of 84. Her death marked the passing of another star from Hollywood's golden age. Deborah Paget played Lilia, a Hebrew slave who captured the attention of Joshua. Though her role was smaller, Paget's beauty and screen presence made her scenes memorable. Born in 1933, Paget was one of the most beautiful women in Hollywood during the 1950s. She worked with some of the biggest directors and stars of the era. After retiring from acting in the 1960s, she largely disappeared from public life, preferring privacy to fame. Paget passed away on March 8, 2024, at the age of 90. Her death reminded fans of a time when Hollywood created epic films on an unimaginable scale. Henry Wilcoxon played Pentor, a character in the film, but his contribution to the 10 Commandments went far beyond acting. He was also the associate producer on the film, working closely with director Cecil B. DeMille. Born in the West Indies in 1905, Wilcoxon had a long career both in front of and behind the camera. He remained loyal to DeMille throughout his life, working on many of his films. Wilcoxon continued working in Hollywood until his health declined. He died on March 6, 1984, at the age of 78 from heart failure. His death was a quiet end of a man who had helped create cinematic history. Douglas Dumbrille played Jonas, the Egyptian high priest. Though his screen time was limited, Dumbrille brought authority and presence to the role. Born in Canada in 1889, Dumbrille had an incredibly long career, appearing in hundreds of films from the silent era through the 1960s. He often played authority figures, villains, and men of power. Dumbrille worked steadily until he was well into his 70s, only stopping when his health forced him to retire. He died on April 2, 1974, at the age of 84. His passing was barely noticed by the public. But Hollywood insiders mourned the loss of a reliable character actor who had been part of cinema history for decades. These 14 actors gave us performances that have lasted through time. The 10 Commandments continues to be shown on television every year, especially during Easter, introducing new generations to this spectacular film. When we watch it today, we're not just seeing special effects and grand sets. We're seeing real people who poured their hearts and souls into their performances. We're seeing actors who live full lives, face their own struggles, and eventually succumb to the one fate we all must face. Their deaths remind us that even legends are mortal, that even the mightiest performances can't protect us from time and illness. But here's the beautiful thing. Even though these actors are gone, they live on through their work. Every time someone watches the 10 Commandments, Charlton Heston parts the Red Sea again, and Baxter breaks our hearts with her unrequited love. Yul Brynner stand defiant against the God of Moses. They are immortal in a way that matters. They continue to entertain, inspire, and move us decades after they left this world. The making of the 10 Commandments was itself an epic undertaking. It was one of the most expensive films ever made at the time, with enormous sets, thousands of extras, and groundbreaking special effects. The cast and crew worked under difficult conditions in the desert heat, sometimes risking their safety to capture the perfect shot. These actors weren't just showing up to read lines. They were part of something bigger than themselves, a film that would define their careers and become part of our shared cultural heritage. Each of these 14 individuals had their own journey to stardom. Some came from privileged backgrounds, others from poverty. Some found fame easily, others had to fight for every opportunity. But they all shared a love for their craft and a dedication to giving audiences the best performances they could deliver. Their deaths came in different ways: cancer, heart disease, strokes, and other illnesses, but each loss diminished the world of cinema just a little bit. What strikes me most about these stories is how human they all are. These weren't just faces on a screen. They were people who loved, suffered, made mistakes, and tried to leave the world better than they found it. Charlton Heston fought for civil rights and later became a controversial political figure. Edward G. Robinson collected art and supported refugees. Vincent Price wrote cookbooks and championed the arts. They lived full, complicated, messy human lives, just like the rest of us. And that's what makes their performances in the Ten Commandments so powerful. They brought their full humanity to their roles. When Moses sees a burning bush, you see real wonder in Charlton Heston's eyes. When Nefertiti realizes she's lost Moses forever, you see genuine heartbreak on in Baxter's face. These weren't just actors hitting their marks and saying their lines. These were artists channeling something deep and real. So today, we remember these 14 beloved performers not just for their deaths, but for their lives. We remember the joy they brought to audiences, the artistry they shared, and the legacy they left behind. The Ten Commandments remains a testament to what Hollywood could achieve when it dreamed big and brought together the best talent of its generation. If you've enjoyed this journey through Hollywood history and these touching stories of the actors we've lost, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow and allows me to create more content honoring the legends of classic cinema. Share this video with anyone who loves the Ten Commandments or classic Hollywood films. And don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss a video. Together, we can keep the memory of these incredible performers alive for future generations. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, remember that great films and great performances never truly die. They live on forever in our hearts and on our screens.